All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tuesday. It's 11 o'clock. That means everybody's going to stop what they're doing. They're tuning in. They've made it a priority. They're here to listen, learn, and kind of find out more about my really, really, really good friends, Matt and Debbie, from all the way up in the middle of nowhere, up in Northwest Ohio.
Yep.
They've been really, really, really good friends of mine for going on years now, guys.
Yeah, I know, man. Way back.
It's when did we first 20? I don't know. 2020? Before then?
Before that.
When was your first article out about Portsmouth?
18, 19, maybe.
Okay. So that's when I started fangirling. Because Matt sent me the article and I was like, we have to meet this guy.
Yeah.
And find out what he's doing.
Yeah. So I think that's when it started. Because we had at that point we had the juvenile probation program, but it was just in our county. It was just us, it was just like, hey, this is the thing. And you started doing that, or not started, you started talking about it more publicly. And then it was like, okay, we need to reach out to Dale. So I think it was 2018, 2019, 2018, probably, when we first said, hey, we got this thing too. How do we learn from each other and grow?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then I was a rep for a couple years, and we hung out at the games a couple times, came up to see you guys. Debbie came down to see us. We're working. You guys started up the affiliate community engagement program. Is that what that stands for?
Empowerment program. Yeah.
Empowerment program for CrossFit for a while. Yeah. And then here we are. Yeah. So we'll get into it, but so Matt and Debbie, owners of MetFix Crave, CrossFit Crave, they run a fantastic affiliate. And one of our core principles that we're really trying to emphasize and prioritize here at MetFix is we look at our affiliates of kind of masters in three areas. Fitness is obviously one. That's why we're all here through what Greg created in the CrossFit methodology. It's what we believe in. We believe in the life-changing aspects it can offer. But then on top of that, it's more than just the fitness aspect. It's the education. That education for us kind of breaks down into the metabolic health and nutrition side. So we want to equally emphasize the movement side, and along with explaining, understanding, and prioritizing what you're putting in your body, because it can only amplify the efforts on the physical side. And then third, and why you guys are here today, is community service, right? So how can you leverage that secret sauce that's happening inside of your gym, and then looking, kind of immediately outside of your doors into your neighborhood and being like, okay, what is a problem that we can help solve through just making people better, making them more confident, making them more capable, and then kind of giving them the tools to increase their capacity for life. And what you guys did with Expanding Horizons is just such a inspiring story, but not only from a feel-good point of view. It's like, okay, well, yeah, this is an awesome story, but there's infrastructure behind it, so where any affiliate can take the model, replicate it. There's work involved to do it, but you want to be able to scale that impact. And so with that, what the hell are you guys doing up there in Salina?
A lot of things. Go. You hit on a key. I'll let Debbie kind of dive into where we're at most recently, because there's a lot of cool things happening in the state of Ohio, state of Colorado, state of Georgia, with that team down there. You said a word. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and that you couldn't have hit the nail more square on the head.
But
like, you've been around this game a long time. We've been around for 16 going on 17 years. We wouldn't be in this spot if we didn't want the work, and we didn't want to support the community and the people around us. And that's at the root of it. Think about what Greg started. I can remember early conversations. The first time I've ever met him, and this was probably, right at 16 years ago. This is probably 2010, 2009, 2010. There's two things he said. The first thing he said, "Hey, are you there before your class opens? And what time is that?" He asked me that question. So our first class is at 5. And he's like, "Okay, great. Do you keep your restrooms clean?" I said, "Absolutely." I kind of laughed. I'm like, well, "That's a weird question." I said, "Yeah, absolutely." He goes, "Great. How do you serve the community around you?" And I didn't know how to answer that question. How do you serve the community that surrounds you? And I was like, you want to say the good things, like, "Oh yeah, we're opening class and we invite people in and they're getting a good workout in." But I couldn't at that point really like say, this is how we are serving the community around us. And fast forward to today, I think we can firmly say, not only are we helping serve the community around us, those that that really need it, because of the programs, very similar to you. We have an addiction program and outreach now. We've got that 3 times a week, twice a week that they come in, which is phenomenal. And that's the model that you shared and you started. So we have that, and that's fully paid for by the Addiction Center. We have the Expanding Horizons model where we work for juveniles in probation, and we have a first responder model. So now, it's kind of funny. It's like, okay, yes, we're serving our general population. We do that every day, just like everyone else wants to. Just like the MetFix model, like, talk about health and nutrition. The exercise part is great. That's just a small part of it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's funny. Like it is a small part of it, but a lot of people invest a big part of their time, effort, energy into that small part.
Yeah.
And I think too is like, you guys, you mentioned it before, you've been around 17, 18 years, which is in like CrossFit years, that's 470 years long.
Yeah.
But what I kind of noticed talking to guys like you is that priority shift kind of changes. It's like, okay, well, I've taken all the mobility courses, the gymnastic courses, the weightlifting courses, all that stuff. And you want to be able to focus on, okay, well, how do I crack the nut on the psychological piece? How do I, the famous quote of the greatest adaptation happens in between the ears. So how do we take that small little movement piece to affect that psychological change? So, and what you guys are doing is fantastic. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, you nailed it. And that goes back to that hard work and effort, and that pays off. And mentally, that changes things. There is and you can find this, and I know you're aware of it. There is a Tony Budding interview with Greg that's probably 2006 or 7, maybe. I'd have to remember back. But in that segment, that interview with Tony, they talked about, and Greg said this, he said, "You know what? At some point, they're going to start to do mental counseling based on what we create in that hour in the gym, because it's not just the physical adaptation, like you said, it's what happens between here that changes people mentally. Give me 6 months, right? That's where he started saying, give me 6 months and I'll change your life." And that was old. That was back in the Tony Budding era, right? That was an old clip, and it's so true to today. It's, you start changing the physical aspect of an individual, and it completely changes their ability to survive, their ability to say, hey, I am worth something. I can do something. And that's what we find with our youth that we interact with, changing their lives. Go ahead.
I don't know where you want me to start when you're like, hey, give us an update. I'm like, there's so many things.
Yeah. I know. That speaks to my shittiness of an interviewer. It's so funny. Like the people I have a longest history with and the most comfortable with, I'm just like, oh, well, everybody knows who these people are. And it's just like,
right.
No, they don't. But I'll tell you what, Matt and I go down bullshit rabbit holes. Debbie, your whole role in this thing is to keep the train on the track.
Reel it in. Yep.
Yeah, reel it in. So why don't you just give me the 60-second pitch on what Expanding Horizons is? I probably should have started with that about 11 minutes ago, but let's dive in.
Okay, got it. So Expanding Horizons is a program that started within our affiliate that now we help other affiliates start. Which is geared towards youth who are in the court system. So they can be kids who are on probation. We have gyms that are inside juvenile correctional facilities of the different levels of facilities, and also when they are released on parole. So these programs are part of court ordered until parole when they're voluntary, but they are all funded through court dollars, which is something that we help with our staff. So we've been able to grow, thank God, that we can hire people and it's not on our shoulders anymore to do all of this. But we help find funding. We also take, with Dr. Kuhn right there, we take all of our coaches through our trauma-informed coaches training. Like you said, the physical stuff is what gets people through the door, but it's the mental and emotional health that keeps people coming back. And there's a lot to be said about educating our coaches on that. So all of our coaches go through an 8-hour training with Matt, Dr. Kuhn, and myself. But the big thing I want to get across to people is like Matt was talking about, it's hard work. It's hard work opening your gym every day. But in order to make that impact, you've got to do it day in, day out, day over. This same program takes a little bit of work day in, day out, day over until you get up and running, and it's then runs just like all of your other classes. But we've been able to help scale it so that other gyms can, hey, Debbie, Matt, like, how do you do this? Or help us with this kind of funding. Or I have a meeting with the commissioners. What do I need to say? And so we have been able to kind of provide mentoring through that for gyms across the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding. Yeah. So I'm on expandinghorizonscf.com. Are you guys a 501c3 now?
We do have a 501c3. So one of the things that we did in 2025 was, in order to gain some of the federal funding that the Department of Homeland Security wanted us to apply for, you had to be a 501c3. So we are super creative. Our 501c3 is called Expanding More Horizons.
Hell yeah.
And so that's what that is right there. And that can help us apply for even broader grants and things like that.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. There's a lot of like red tape to work through, especially, this when you're working with, whether it's outreach programs, substance abuse programs, or state and federal dollars. The state likes to spend their dollars on for-profit businesses because they can control it. They know where it's going. Federally, they want to spend their dollars with nonprofits or government entities, or schools, or public places. So that's why we started the 501c3.
Yeah.
And that's new to us. In early 2025, we started having a relationship with a gentleman that works at Homeland Security. This was almost 2 years ago now. Contacted us, sent us an email, and said, the email was introducing himself, trying to almost like, hey, I really want to talk to you guys. Here's all about me. Do you have time for me? And I'm like, this is coming from Homeland Security. Like, what did we do wrong? This is not our norm. So once we started that relationship, he was, the first thing out of the gate, he's like, hey, I've done 2 years worth of research on expanding horizons. I've done 2 years worth of research on both you and Debbie individually, background checks, all that. He goes, we want Homeland Security. We want to help you guys grow. The key to that was there's a lot of great programs that can start homegrown locally, but it's hard for those programs to expand. So they may have a really, really good grassroots movement. They may have a really strong effect in their community with the people that they support, but it's hard to duplicate that at other places. Look at the beauty that we have, especially in the MetFix world, where we have gyms all over the place, right? So in their mind, they can take the model that was started and say, hey, if there's another gym that's willing to take this population in, we can help start it and help fund it. And here you go. Now it's infinitely scalable. So that's where federally they look at programs like that. That says, hey, we do want to support those small locations that are doing it individually, but we'd much rather pick movements that can grow infinitely wherever there's a heart and a willingness to work with a said population. And tertiary prevention in the Homeland Security world is where this type, what we do, you and I do, and all of the MetFix affiliates do, that's the top of their pyramid. Meaning there is, and they call it, what do they call it?
It's anti-terrorism.
Yeah, anti-terrorism. Now, you may say, well, go back to 2001. You may think, well, anti-terrorism, that's active terrorism from outside of the U.S., internally. And that's not the way they look at it now. Anti-terrorism is anything that happens against peer. U.S. domestically, that's car theft. That's, that's homicide. That's anything that can happen peer to peer. They see that as terrorism. And what we're doing in the programs that we have and what a MetFix gym can do is help that tertiary prevention at the very top, meaning most of these individuals have already got themselves in trouble, right? Now it's habilitation and giving them the opportunity to change their mental outlook on life, which gives them an opportunity not to hate the person next to them. Because at the end of the day, that's what starts. That's what starts terrorism. That's what starts crime. There is something embedded because of something that happened when they were younger, trauma that leads to, I don't have a community, so I'm gonna burn the world down until I find it. So that's the top of the pyramid. So if you look at what Homeland Security is doing, that's why federal dollars kind of jumped in and said, hey, we can help expand what you're doing more on a national level, which was cool.
They realize that they have the funding to be able to come from the top down. They don't have the knowledge to be able to come from the bottom up.
Right.
And that's where we can, people who are already in the community who say, hey, I know these people who need the help. I know these kids who are in trouble, or I know these people who are in recovery and are still struggling, or, whatever the case scenario is, we are the people in the community. And so what they're doing at the federal level is working to open up more avenues of funding for, like Matt said, grassroots programs like this that make an impact that we don't even think about. Like when he first said, we look at your program as terrorism prevention, I had the whole deer in the headlights look. And he's like, no, Debbie, like, think about it. And it makes complete sense, right? The healing has to start at home. For our entire country, the healing has to start at home. And that's what programs like this help do.
Yeah. And that's what our gyms are so vital for it. At the end of that conversation he started having with us, he's like, hey, here's where we want to start through federally funded dollars. We want to start in Wood County at a CCF location. And he collected all of us and we went up there and we sat down and that's where we kicked off. And that's, that was the fourth location that we opened a full-fledged gym inside the walls of.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I don't think a lot of people understand that aspect to it as well. Expand, and please jump in. This is how I see it in my head. So expanding horizons is the umbrella corporate structure that allows these programs to fall under it. One of which is teaching gyms how to work with, we call them specialty populations, but in your area of domain expertise, it's juvenile probation. So we're talking 12, 17-year-olds who've gotten into trouble, and they're kind of looking for, they need an additional outlet in their life to kind of get them on the right and ensure, or help to ensure, they don't become a repeat offender. So that's one program that you guys offer. And then within the state of Ohio, and there might be other states as well, you have, let's call them satellite facilities, to where your qualified coaches, instructors run an actual program inside of those correctional facilities to help their rehabilitation while they're incarcerated, to help ensure they don't reoffend while they get out. Is that an accurate statement?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
So
tell me more about those facilities.
Okay. Inside each of those facilities, there's a space that's dedicated to CrossFit, or the community fitness stuff. We have what you see when you walk into your gym. The only thing you're not going to see is anything hanging from the ceiling, because that's probably not a good idea, right?
Yes, we don't do rope. We don't have ropes hanging.
But we do have barbells and plates and dumbbells, pull-up rigs, rowers, everything else is in there. So our coaches that we've hired, they've gone through the trauma-informed coaches training. They have coaching certification. Depending on the facility and the space and schedule and things like that, they go in anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week per group. So each group is getting class a couple of times a week. And they coach the exact same type of workout that you're going to do in your gym. We have the whiteboard up there. They do the warm up, they do explanation, go through everything. And then we bring it all together and we talk community, we talk character, we talk life lessons that takes this experience in the gym to the heart and to the head once you walk out. So what we found, a couple of things. Number one is movement is fantastic for these kids because they don't get a lot of movement. That then opens the door for a lot of nutrition conversation, even in a facility where their choices for nutrition are limited. They still want to get better and they still want to grow, right? And then the majority of the facilities that we're in right now are male. And what do guys want to do? They want to flex in front of the mirror, right? So we're showing them the growth that they're doing through this process, not just their weight or how much they can bench, but how well they're sleeping. We're helping them look at stress markers and things like that. And they're developing relationships with our staff. So we are bringing staff members in who are, they get used to them because we have 4 to 5 staff members per facility, but it's not the same guards that they see every single day. So it gives them a new type of mentorship. The staff of the facility are allowed to work out with the boys as well, because that fosters respectful relationships and community. That has turned into a lot of healthy competition within the facilities and the facilities together. So one of the things that happened as a result of federal Homeland Security, last summer, we had what has now been called the first ever Unity Games. And it looks like it's going to be an annual competition where they bus kids from the 3 facilities to a central facility. And we have competition, just like we write competitions for the gym. In the past, we did teams of 2 youth. And in this one, we added a third partner, which was a first responder or a law enforcement officer. So we're bringing in members of Homeland Security and FBI and DEA and sheriff to teach these young men that these are people you can count on. So between their heats and between their workouts, they were given a task of go to your third person and find out, what do they do for a living? What do they do when they're not working? Mm-hmm. Find out, because we're trying to foster relationships. These are people you can run to, not run from. We noticed the impact wasn't just on the youth. It was on volunteers that we had brought, our judges, the law enforcement officers. Some of them still go into the facility and are meeting with the boys that they partnered with to continue that mentorship process. And then from there, when the boys get out of the facility to go back home, we make sure that we carry that success. So anywhere from 30 to 90 days pre-release, we start working with the youth, their parole officer, and whoever's going to be in their living space, whether that's parents or whether that's a staff member, if it's a halfway house or a recovery house, to find them a gym where they can keep going. So we help make sure that they have transportation, they have clothes, all of the things, and they can keep going to a gym once they're released, so that they can continue that success, continue that feel of community. And the state of Ohio they believe in this so much that they even help fund it post-release. Even if we have a kid who's 20 years old and he gets out of a facility in Ohio and moves to Iowa, Ohio has paid, because it doesn't matter where he goes. He needs to find home that's successful, that's loving, that's positive, right? And so it's our job as human beings to remove any barrier we can. And the state of Ohio have said, if money is a barrier we can remove to ensure that success, we're going to keep it going.
Yeah. From the state's perspective, it's bridging a gap in several ways. If you think about the Unity Games, that we're bridging a gap between what the youth sees from the badge. We're pulling the badge off and seeing the person that's behind that badge. It's bridging the gap for the officer that's involved to see the youth that's on the other side of that cell or the other side of that arrest record, because traditionally that's all they see. That's another arrest number. That's it. It's a record that I've got to arrest, I've got to take away, and I've got to write a report on. They don't get to see the human factor side of it. And when you're suffering in an hour or a 4-hour workout, you quickly see the human factor. And that's the mental thing. Going back to the mental side of it, that's the biggest gap, filler or bridge filler that we're trying to provide. And that's where the state really gets excited about it. One of the things that the state also sees is a lot of these youth that are incarcerated have a hard time when they're released for a couple of reasons. One, there's really no more state involvement. They have a PO, have a parole officer that checks in on them once a month or once a week or whatever that is. But they're pretty much, hey, I got to move on to the next youth, right? That person's released. Hopefully they succeed and good luck. There's really no follow-up programs that interact with the youth inside the walls that will continue to interact with the youth outside. And we provide that. We're able to bridge that gap. Once the kids are released, we can follow them, direct contact. So we get to
and these guys. So if and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just generally curious. So 15-year-old kid is in a correctional facility for whatever reason. Those facilities are non-geographic specific. So for example, if a kid in Portsmouth does whatever, he could end up at one of your facilities up north, and then he's going to come back home to Southern Ohio, right? Is that correct? Or are they geographic specific?
No. So these are the facilities that we are in are for the kids who are your heaviest offenders.
Okay.
So if you've got a kid who's in trouble for truancy, they're going to go to a JDC. We're still working to get in theirs. We haven't started in our first JDC yet. What we have 66 or 68% of the kids that we have in our facilities are there for some kind of homicide. Yeah. Their average length of stay is 2.5 years. So these are kids who are returning to home, and a lot of times the same home, the same lack of structure, the same environment that allowed them to say, hey, this person says they're accepting of me and they say that they want me to be part of their crew. Yeah. And if that means going to shoot somebody, I'm going to do it because there's approval when I don't have it here at home.
Right. Right. And some of these kids really come back to nothing, meaning, like you said, there's a young man that's getting out in July, I believe, from Cleveland, from the Cuyahoga Hills facility. He was incarcerated. He was picked up 14, incarcerated at 15, and he ages out at 21, which is July. He's been in the entire time. So really his home network, I had a real long conversation with him 2 weeks ago. His home status is completely gone, meaning he doesn't have a relationship with mom or dad for a reason. He speaks to his grandma, and that's it. All of his other friends, he doesn't want to associate with. They're all changed. Think about it. It's been 6 or 7 years. So the other gap filler, if you will, that the state is wanting to do and willing to do this for this young man is, he says, hey, he enjoys functional fitness. So the state wants to get him a certificate so he can coach functional fitness. And now when he's released, he has an opportunity to get a part-time job at a gym because he loves it. So that's what this young man's working for. So, one of our coaches, he just falls in the geographical area that one of the coaches that coached there, that's where he'll attend the gym. And now there's an opportunity for him to have employment the second he steps out. So the state sees that as there's not other programs, maybe HVAC, because they do some of that inside the walls, but they don't have anything else. And here's another way to bridge that gap.
Yeah, we work with CBC, a community-based correctional facility here down in Franklin Furnace. And our boy Ricky does classes every Friday for a men's group and a women's group. And I'm just bringing this up so people kind of understand. So CBC is like basically if you're parole violated, it's adult correctional facility. It's primarily drug-related offenses, and it speaks to what you're saying is. Most people, when they think prison or, they're supposed to be correctional. So let's just look at the term correctional, meaning we're supposed to correct something, or rehabilitative facility. Yeah. So you have to, and look, I'm not here to argue, like throw them away, put them in jail. Like clearly they broke the law and punishment needs to be assigned. But there are things that kind of forward thinking acting facilities institute so they don't see them again.
Right.
And that's what people need to understand is these young men and women have committed a heinous crime in some aspects. And so it's better for us collectively to invest in programs to teach them skills, like in the folks that we work with at the CBCs. Like they have HVAC programs, they have ironworking, they have all this stuff, because if that person goes back out on the street, guess what they're going to end up doing? Right. Exactly what they were doing before. So these programs are, and let's be honest, like they're going to be taxpayer funded programs. Because we're paying for this ourselves. Right. So it's always make the argument that like, hey, I get it. I'd rather, make whatever arbitrary budgetary number you want, but I'd rather spend $1 million on these cats so they don't come back in instead of $1 million doing nothing where they keep repeating and we're not fixing the problem.
Yeah. And you nailed it. And that's the piece that I think a lot of people miss is the dollars and cents, because that's, unfortunately, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's a business. Like the criminal institution is a multi-billion-dollar business to house prisoners, adults, and youth. That's just where it is. Billions of dollars are spent there. And if you look at a single night for an incarcerated individual, so you got a kid that's in one of the 3 long-term facilities, it's close to $400 per day for that individual to stay there. So let's say it's $400 per day. and then they're in there for an average of 2.5 years. Think about the dollars that causes.
Mm-hmm.
Why not help the government, help the state spend that dollar with a local MetFix gym, a local individual that says, hey, I'm willing to help continue that individual's habilitation or rehabilitation, bring them into this community, maybe give them an opportunity to have employment and keep them off of the streets. Why not funnel that dollars, like you just said, why not funnel that dollars to things that really make an impact versus just waiting for that young man or that young lady or man or woman to go back into the system where you and I are still paying for it.
Yep.
I would rather spend my tax dollars going to a gym in a community that will truly help that individual than see them locked up. Now, you can't save them all. Obviously, there's a mental side of this that sometimes you just can't. We've seen we've had kids do great, get released, go to a gym, and within a month go right back into the system because they just can't get out of that.
And you're not. Yeah, it's an unrealistic expectation to be like it's going to be 100% success rate. But if you look categorically across those numbers, whatever the recidivism number is, let's just say it's 75%. So 7.5 kids out of 10 will go back into gym. So if you can cut that in half, I think everybody would say that's a noble endeavor to be a part of.
Yeah. One of the things some of the juvenile facilities struggle with where the adult facilities have things in play are the programmings like that. So when you're in an adult prison, a lot of them have more programming options with your HVAC, with culinary, with different college classes. Where at the juvenile facility, a lot of times, once you get your GED, you're done. Mm-hmm. There might be HVAC. Mm-hmm.
They have janitorial, and that just means they're learning janitorial services because they're working in the janitorial service realm inside. That's it. There's no training.
So there's number one, there's not a lot of opportunity right now. They're trying to provide more programs to be able to teach them other concepts and other skills. But then also while they're in there, they're sitting. Yeah. They're not doing anything. Yeah. So I want to refer back to the coach that Matt was talking about earlier at Cuyahoga. Shout out to Chrissy Impoletti, because she has gone so far with our youth to start working on an apprenticeship with the kids at the facility because her family has a landscaping business. Mm-hmm. So when the youth who gets out in July, he's not only going to go to be a coach, he's also going to enter into the landscaping apprenticeship with her family, and be able to have that career, right? Mm-hmm. He's literally walking away from the family he had when he entered because he realized that's not for his mental health, that's against, right? And he's been able to, in such a limited world, been able to find an avenue that's right for him to go down. Mm-hmm. And that's because you have people with heart who are saying, this is hard work and I'm going to do it because there's a benefit for other people here.
Yeah. Yeah. And that word's, quickly spreading. I guess it was October, the state of Ohio invited us to speak at the American Corrections Association annual conference, which was held in Colorado. So we went out and we sat on a panel and we spoke to correctional individuals from across the United States, which was really cool to see. And again, it's about out of the box thinking. It's what are programs that just aren't normal that we can start to help with, right? We've been able to, we're now working with the governor's office in Colorado, the director of their DYS facility, who's an Ohio guy, which is awesome. He sees two things. Daley, seen what you've done. And he's like, man, I know that we can affect people that are in that situation, in rehabilitation, in systems here in the state of Colorado. I also know there's programs like we have in the state inside of the juvenile prisons. I want that here. Mm-hmm. So that we've been working with Colorado for probably 3.5 years. And it took one person coming out of the state of Ohio to drop in there and go, hey, get ready because we're going to start to do what you're doing in Ohio and Colorado. Both in the substance abuse world, and inside of our juvenile correctional facilities, which is really, that's kind of cool to see. And then the state of Georgia was just most recently from another MetFix gym. Stephen, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we have an affiliate down there, Stephen
Cologne, right?
Yeah,
yes.
Cologne.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
he's the best.
Him
He's
and
a
his wife
stud.
Katie,
Yeah.
and their little boy Cruz. So he has been working. Funding has been an obstacle there because it's like coded almost, and you just have to crack the code to find it.
Yeah.
He most recently has been doing classes with boys at a foster care home. So he's been going in there and having classes. And then last week he called me and he's like, "Hey, I just walked out of a meeting with the commissioners. So there's a girl at his gym whose mom used to be in talk radio, who knows the commissioners, and it's all about your 5 degrees of separation. You begin finding your passion and you begin talking about your passion, and the connections will come to make this happen. Not overnight. We've been working with Steve before baby Cruz is born, right? But it's happening because he's not afraid to do the hard work.
Yep. And look, there's all kinds of lessons to be learned from that, but the one I consistently try to tell people is your reputation is your most valuable capital. That'll get you farther than any sort of seed money or venture capital investment, because people want to do business with people they like and they trust. And the downfall of that is, like, listen, it takes time. It's going to take 3, 5, 7 years of you building that reputation for people to want to be a part of and want to invest. So the best thing you can do is just show up and make sure you're doing things for the right reasons for the right people. So
that's it.
Steven's a good dude. And it's been, I think because of you, I've gotten to know him, really well over the last couple of weeks that we put together the Spark working group. But smart cat, in it for the right reasons. And, it's just a shining example of one chance encounter. You never know. You never know where it's going to lead.
Right.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
So cool.
I could talk with you guys forever, and we probably should, but I got to take my ass to the noon class. I gotta make. So the noon class is what I used to coach all the time, way back in the day. And these guys are just full of degenerate. They're guys like me, so they're a bunch of small business owners here in Portsmouth, and so they're able to take their lunch class and work out. So whenever I'm able to work out with them, they call it a guest appearance. I've committed. At least twice a week, I'll do my guest appearance at the noon class for those guys. But the main thing is here, I wanted our audience and our affiliates to be exposed to you guys. And what's the best way for people to learn more if they're interested in doing a program like this at their gym? If I know you guys have a course coming up in March, just how can they get a hold of you guys to extend this conversation and hopefully, most importantly, extend the impact their gym can offer in their communities?
There's a bunch of ways, but the easiest ones, our website is expandinghorizonscf.com. You could email me, Debbie, DEBBIE, at CrossFitCrave.com, or you could go to our Instagram, which is Expanding Horizons. So contacting us on any of those, either I will get it or Elizabeth, who does a lot of our admin stuff for us, has been wonderful. She will get it as well, and she can get the ball rolling sometimes faster than I can.
Outstanding.
Yeah. Thanks for the time, man.
No, it went way too fast. So expandinghorizonscf.com. And look, here's the thing. Don't do this shit unless you're willing to put your ass on the line for it. I think that this is not, if you're like, oh, I'd like to put another $2,000 a month in my gym's revenue, this is the wrong program for you. I don't mean to have an anti-sales pitch here, but if you're wanting to sign up to make a difference and to be along for that long-term struggle and to be willing to have your heart broken potentially once or twice, sign up for it.
Yep. And keep showing up for those who break your heart.
Yeah.
I literally just got a text. I haven't even opened it 2 minutes ago from one of our girls who graduated from our probation program about 4 or 5 years ago. She's coming to your 4:30 class today.
So there you go. So, there you have it.
That's great, man. That's great. Guys, I love you. I appreciate you. I need to have you back more often. And don't be feel free to reach out if you've got something going on. If we want to maybe do another show kind of closer to, I think we should probably do it. Here's what I'd like to do. And Debbie, Matt, I'm putting my great idea, the responsibility of execution upon you guys, which I'm a master at doing. Let's come back on between now and March.
Okay.
And I'd like to spend that episode running through the training.
Yes.
Sure.
I think it's a very valuable value add for our folks because it's an area like I attended the course back in whenever that was, 22, 3, somewhere around there. And I still use the line "Eyes on me" with my now soon. They'll be 9 years old in April. And so there's all kinds of gems in there that folks can use, whether dealing with juveniles, their own kids, or adult population. So I'd like to have you guys back on and let's run through the mental health training.
Yeah. Perfect. Maybe we can get, if we schedule at the right time, we might be able to grab Dr. Kuhn and sit on it as well. So
totally up to you guys. Would love to have him as well. Well, cool, guys, keep doing what you're doing. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. We should connect after this. I have a nephew of mine that was killed. He's a special forces. So the long story there. I'll tell you about that later. But his son and daughter live in Portsmouth. And tough situation there. We need to get a lot of help surrounding them. So my first go-to when I talked to my sister, that's her grandkids, was like, hey, I got the right person that can throw some community around these two kids. And a great place to work out.
Is this something that happened recent or?
Yeah.
In the last, they moved up there in the last year.
Yeah, last year. So we'll talk about it.
Absolutely. So let's whatever needs to happen, we'll make sure it happens.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks brother.
All right, guys. Love y'all. Be good. Talk to you soon, guys.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye-bye.